yeah, everybody's trying to earn a living, aren't they? Well, most people are, let's put it that way, in life. And sometimes when people lose their job, they get thrown into the bottom again. And sometimes, depending where you live, really, it could be life can be a bit of a struggle, And I think like people sometimes go into the wrong things a little bit, like selling drugs or so on or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they get caught, and then they end up in jail, and their life is destroyed, unfortunately,
Mm. Yeah, it's true.
I mean, even jail, when talk about jail for a second, because it is kind of like to do with kindness, really, when someone does something wrong, when they do get put in jail, or if they haven't done something wrong when they get put in jail, all the loved ones get affected, you know what I mean? The loved ones get punished too, in a kind of way, It's not just the person that did the crime or didn't do the crime that goes to jail, that gets tortured.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
The wife might have to suffer, because her husband's in jail now for some reason.
Yeah.
She's got to go without her husband now, and the children got to go without the children, and the children got to go out of power, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the wicked thing about jail, because I think, like, sometimes, not in all cases, not the only, the person that gets sent to jail could be the victim. Everyone else is the victim too. That not even committed the crime.
Yeah.
Only because they
end up having to suffer as well.
Exactly, and this is why I never, I don't like the idea of jail, because I think it's all to do with education at the end of the day, like educating children what love is.
The problem is though,
what love is kindness.
What do you do with like serial killers and mass murderers and shit? What?
Yeah, but the reason why they become mass murderers, I think, this is my philosophy anyway, because they've not had any philosophy at school, or it wasn't there, or they've not been loved at school, and so on, And as I've said in previous episodes, if there's philosophy at school, this would be a much better world, and safer too. Okay, and if there was no cars on the road, right, we'd live in a safer world. It'd be quieter too. Do you know what I mean? That's the fact. Do you know what I mean? We're living in a very noisy, dangerous world, and any children under the age of 16 crossing the road, it's a dangerous road to cross. Do you know what I mean? They're crossing dangerous roads here. Do you know what I mean? Very dangerous sometimes. Do you know what I mean? And a lot of children have got run over in the past. Do you know what I mean? So many. It's unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, do you know what I mean? It's just a pretty awful, messed up world, if you ask me, because jail, it doesn't solve crime, it creates it in a funny way, I think, more than anything. It's not making it better. It's kind of like creating a lot of frustrating anger, because like I say, some people, I mean, even if they've committed a really bad crime, it's only because they've not been brought up properly, or something's happened dramatically to make them think like this, you see, to get their revenge, you with me, because they've not been helped before in their past or something, do you know what I mean, and they're getting rejected, and they get so frustrated because they think, right, this is my life, nobody's listening to me, alright, I know I'm right, and I've always been right, but nobody's listening to me, and they know they ain't got much longer to live anyway. They're out of this universe soon, do you know what I mean? They're not worried, do you know what I mean? They don't care if they go in jail, these people, because they're already down the bottom, do you know what I mean? Some people. And I do personally think it's all down to education, if I had philosophy at school, philosophy lessons, like what happiness is, what love is, what kindness is, and all this kind of stuff, what we're talking about, philosophy, do you know what philosophy is? It's the love of wisdom. So why do they not teach at school? That's why, because I'm confused, because now I'm a little bit older, I think, why didn't I have philosophy? I love it. I would have loved it. I don't like biology so much, I mean, that's not my subject, but philosophy, wow. But why isn't it at school? It's wisdom. Philosophy is wisdom, for goodness sake. So don't you want your children to be wise?
Well, the reality is that the curriculum that is, purported by the government is given to the school, isn't it? The government, the people that are in control of the government, the people that are in charge of the education sector of the government.
Corrupt.
They devise a curriculum for every age group.
Yeah.
So from the time your child starts in year R, reception, all the way up through junior school, all up then into secondary school, and then onwards, there's a curriculum that's created and devised and given to these schools and these head teachers and teachers, and this is said, this is what you need to teach, this is what the subjects that we deem to be important, if you see what I mean?
Yeah, but...
And this is what you're going to teach.
Yeah, but philosophy is more important than all the other subjects.
No, I know, but what I'm saying is because it's a controlled thing.
Yeah, exactly, you know.
That's why...
Even the teachers themselves, I've said, you know, if they've got no philosophy, they will not be a very good teacher. Maths teacher, English teacher, you know, they all need to learn philosophy. We all do. Every child needs to learn philosophy, honestly, because it is wisdom. You know, why do they not teach wisdom at school? You know, because they only want so many people in this business world. There's so many people at the top, and there's lots of people down the bottom. Okay, there's only so many people can really sort of be a millionaire in this world. You know what they're doing, because they've got the intelligence of knowing how to sort of make money in a funny way. You know. Yeah, I think like philosophy. Philosophy is so important, you know, and I really think like if it was taught at school as a quite an important subject, you know, and because it is kind of like teaching happiness at the same time. I can't explain it, you know, and I just think like that's the missing link. Philosophy is the missing link, you know, because if my mum had philosophy at school, she would have been a better mother to me. Then if philosophy was at school, I would have been a better person today, even, do you know what I mean? You know, I've only been studying philosophy for the last 15 years, do you know what I mean? And, you know, I can't really wait really to learn more about it, because I know that philosophy is love of wisdom, do you know what I mean? And I love wisdom. I don't know about anyone else. And, you know, I've realised with philosophy, understanding it, the more I understand, the wiser I get in a funny way, you know. I understand this now, you know, and it just really confused me why it's missing at school, you know, because it would reduce crime. Children wouldn't feel, you know, there wouldn't be no rejection, you see, because philosophy is learning about bullying and so on, and all these kind of things, you know, and love, whatever, you know. There wouldn't be any bullying at school, do you know what I mean? Because if everybody understood philosophy, they'd understand each other a little bit more themselves, you know, and that's all there is to it. But they don't teach it at school, you know. So all the children, they might be very intelligent at many different things, you know, like mathematics or so on and so on. Or they might be very good at English. But if they've got no philosophy, they're pretty useless, really, you know. They're not basically uneducated. All right, yeah. That's how I see it, see? And that's why I think this is not a kind world, you know, because people shouldn't be going to prison, right? I know they might have done something really horrible wrong. Terrible, yeah. And something should be done. You know, yeah, definitely, yeah. But locking someone up is, I don't know, you know, because these people do these things because they've been not treated fairly. You know, not treated fairly. Yeah. Somehow, in a big way, you know. I don't know how, you know, but there's something's happened. To make them think like this, somehow. You know, I think like we've all got a bit of a different mentality on things, you know, in life, and understanding of things a little bit, you know. I just wish, that's what I really wish. It really angers me to this day that no philosophy at school.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it would be beneficial for, you know, lots of different reasons, you know.
Very
I think they purposefully and intentionally don't teach you about certain things in school, you know. School is almost like, don't get me wrong, I'm not discrediting school. I don't want people to think I'm discrediting school, because school also serves a purpose, and kids do learn a lot at school at the same time that is required for them later on in life, if you see what I mean. But what I am saying is that I think, just like most things, it's kind of like indoctrination to a degree. You know, you're taught. You know, you go to school, like you say all the time, you go to school at 9:30, you know, like I drop my kids at school now at, you know, 8:45, they start school, then I pick them up at 3:30, if you see what I mean. So it's almost like a slow indoctrination into the working world, essentially. You Monday to Friday, 9 till 3, essentially, and, you're learning throughout the day, getting an education. And so that when you get older, you can do the same thing. You can do, get 9 to 5 and apply all the information and knowledge and everything else that you learned at school in order to get a job and
I mean, say your child was at school,
yeah,
and you weren't working. You're not allowed to go in the classroom and watch, just sit there and be part of the, help teach.
Well, you could,
you know what I mean?
yeah, you can
I
occasionally.
think they do that in Africa, maybe.
Once in a blue moon, they will have like a day where you can come in the morning for like an hour, and just kind of like be with them during like class time and observe, like, the teaching that goes on and how, etc. Participate, but it's not that often. Of course.
But children have kind of got to go to school by law.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
And even if you went off, alright, and you have a child, I mean, that child's still got to go to school.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Whether it be homeschooled or public school or private school.
And it's kind of like they're being registered to the government. You see, that's why I think they kind of like belong to the government. Every child in a funny way, and you've got to hand them over at a certain time.
But that's what you do, don't you?
Exactly.
When your child's born, you register your child.
And I know it all looks beautiful, like these schools and that, and they're all playing in there. But to me, I've always looked at them as little cages, that's why I look at them like. They might be painted pretty sometimes, and they've got pretty things in them, but to me, they look like little prison camps to me. But, at school, like I've said in previous episodes, I'd never liked school. I didn't want to be there. Do you know what I mean? I understood that I didn't want to be there. I wanted to be home with my family,
Yeah.
I loved ants, like I said, I didn't want to be at school in a box, you know what I mean? Away from my ants, But I had to go, it's not like the government give you any money for doing it, because you are literally sort of like have to learn in a funny way, and you're sort of like learning hard, you know what I mean? It's some sort of like government course, but you're young, you with me? And it's sort of like they drive you with education after education. They teach children so much, but no philosophy whatsoever. They just don't want. It's like the government, funny enough, don't want anyone to be wise. That's why they don't teach philosophy. Because they know what philosophy is. They know what it is. Do you know what I mean? They know it's wisdom. But they have no philosophy teachers at school teaching philosophy. And it's a whole missing link, I think, like, if philosophy was at school, there'd be more kindness in the world, and people would know what kindness actually is. Because a lot of people don't know what kindness is today, they, how can you blame people for not being kind in a funny way, because the way the world is, we're kind of like born, go to school, leave school, got to go and earn a living, And it's kind of like you've got to try to make a profit of somebody else, basically, and play a bit wicked in this. Because I do see it as a kind of wicked world where people are giving up their children. I personally, if I had it my way, I wouldn't have gone to school. One bit, some people are lucky enough to escape school. Obviously, I've read about it, right? I would have enjoyed my life a lot more if I didn't go to school and I just had a bit more of a normal childhood, do you know what I mean? Yeah? And I think I would have had a much better life, let's put it that way, That's how I feel anyway,
Yeah. The thing is, right, is like you're saying earlier, like, and even now, like, it's trauma You know, when people have to endure a large amount of trauma at a young age, you know, especially when you're a young adolescent, you know, it can really, it generally tends to come out later on in life, if you see what I mean. All the trauma that you've been exposed to or had to deal with, whatever it may be, it really does have an effect on people throughout their lives. A lot of times people don't even realise, like these sick people who abuse people and do awful shit people, don't really have kind of like any idea and concept of how much they really ruin some people's lives. Some people never have a normal life again, if you see what I mean. They suffer PTSD, got severe anxiety, got social anxiety problems where they find it hard to socialise with people and communicate and be kind of like, you know, all sorts of things, if you see what I mean. So yeah, trauma is a large proponent towards of, you know, it's does affect, you know, it does affect people significantly in lots of different ways. Yeah.
I think even like sleep, talking about sleep earlier on, you know, having a nice sleep. I feel like if you don't have a nice sleep, the next day you're not going to be so kind. I feel, you know, to other people, basically, you're going to be a bit angry with yourself, I think, you know, because like I say, I think a lot of people in this world are depriving themselves from sleep, you know, they stay up late, you know, and things like this, because they, you know, they're so excited about watching something or something, you know. The next day they're grouchy all day, do you know what I mean? And they can be quite not so happy at work, do you know what I mean? You know. And that's what's really important, you know. Sort of like having a good sleep so you can sort of like behave better, I suppose. I mean, really, it's all down to you know, like today, for instance, you know, however I behave, you know, if I'm sort of angry all day, that's what I'm going to remember at the end of the day, you know, at the end of the night. If I'm going to be kind all day, that's what I'm going to remember. If I'm going to cry all day, that's what I'm going to remember, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just feel like if you're being kind, you get a good feeling for being kind. If you're not being kind, you're not going to get any good feelings.
Yeah. I personally feel like
it won't make you feel good.
The more you bless people, the more blessed you become in a way. I'm not saying that you're doing it for that reason. You're not doing it, like, as long as you've got genuine intentions, you're not doing it, you're not blessing other people for this, you know, in hope that you can get blessed back. You know, that's not the goal. You're just doing it because you want to help. But I find, personally, the more people, and more times, you know, the more people that I bless and stuff and help and stuff like that, the more it kind of like comes back to me, if you see what I mean. It kind of like, you know, I end up getting blessed too. You know, I end up getting blessings and other things because of, you know, helping people and doing things, and you know, and like you said, that satisfaction that you get as well is always quite rewarding. You know, of that feeling of knowing that you might have been able to help someone in some way that might have, you know, helped them get back on their feet or change their mind about something, giving them a different perspective on life, and you know, lifted their spirits, or you know. So, like I was saying, like we were discussing earlier, prior to the show, like I feel personally that like kindness, like pure kindness, is when you're doing stuff like from your heart and it's completely genuine. There's no ulterior motives. There's just nothing but good intentions behind it. If you see what I mean, you're not looking to be, you know, for that person to have to give you something in return, or you know, hoping for a blessing in the future. Like, no, you're just doing it just literally with the pureness and the, you know, of your heart to say, you know what, I just genuinely want to help this person, you know. And to me, that's like the purest form of kindness, you know, where there's no kind of strings attached to it. You know, you're literally just acting upon your goodwill, essentially. You know, so I think that's very important. You know, I think if more people thought, if more people thought about, it's simple, you know, it sounds very cliche, but it's the golden rule, you know, as they always say, that golden rule is, you know, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, essentially. And I think if most people thought like that, not everyone of course, course, because most people are nice human beings and they treat people accordingly, treat people with love and respect. But you do get people that also, you know, not so educated, like you might say, and you know, just you know.
Do you think, look, if everyone was kind, do you think everyone would be giving their money to each other rather than taking it?
Well, not even necessarily, because
You know what I mean?
like I don't even think it always comes down to money either. Like, you know, yes, you can bless people with money.
I'm just saying, if everyone was kind in this world, everyone would be giving their things away.
Well, I think we could come to a fairer point of life where everyone, if everything was fair, everyone would have the same good quality of life. If you get what I'm saying. Not everyone gets the same quality of life. Depending on your environment, depending on your salary that you earn a year, depending on your, you know, circumstances, etc.
Yeah.
So, you know, if it was really fair, everyone would have the same opportunities in life to, you know, to succeed. Everyone would have the same opportunities to make money, to, you know. So if it was really fair, then I think, you know, it'd be an even playing field essentially, wouldn't it? You know, everyone would be able to have a very good quality of life. You could collectively come together and say that, you know, no one should be living, you know, below a certain standard of life. You know, everyone should be entitled to a decent house and, you know, healthcare and all these different things. If you see
Well,
what I
it's
mean,
not like that out there, is it? Not in this country, anyway. You know, it's like the housing situation is awful in this country for young children, young people, to get their you know, families together or whatever. You know, it's awful out there in many ways, and I wonder why. You know, why are we living in a greedy, horrible world in a funny way? You know, with prisons in it everywhere. You know, and no philosophy at school. You know, and it's kind of wicked, if you ask me. You know, where people are not being taught at school. You know, it kind of frustrates me in a funny way, you know, because I feel like I'm quite a wise guy, you know, and so I'm hoping to get wise next year, you know, if I study philosophy a bit more, I get a bit smarter or whatever, but it just surprises me that it's shocking to me that there's, you know, because I go around and I see things, I see the other people, and I find there's not many intelligent people about.
Yeah, no, it's quite shocking.
And that's what I find sad, you know, and I can understand it in a kind of way, because, you know, like I said, there's no philosophy.
Yeah.
Philosophy's the missing link.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what I believe anyway.
Yeah.
I believe that philosophy is the answer to people doing really horrible things. You know, if children were taught early about philosophy, you know, it'd be a much better world for everyone, a much kinder world, much more lovely, you know. And people they wouldn't be bullying each other at school, you know. They bully each other because there's no philosophy. That's why. That's why there's bullying at school. You know, children are just basically not being taught by their parents or whatever, and getting lost. No philosophy. Unbelievable. You know, it should be more. It should be above history, philosophy. It should be above maths, geography, the whole lot of it. Number one. You know, and it kind of upsets me in a kind of way. You know, I can sort of see why I'm living in the world I am today. You know, because there's just no philosophy. So many, and it makes me sad. You know, because I've got to forgive all these people that don't understand philosophy.
The sad thing is, mate, is that a lot of people out there just, and there's nothing wrong with being content, if you see what I mean. If you're content and you're happy, then fine. There's so many people out there that are just content with not trying to grow, not trying to evolve, not trying to expose themselves to more information, more knowledge, more things that have them you know, give them some kind of deeper understanding of life, and you know, and what it really.
But I think a lot of people have been owned.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, from an early age, you know, at school.
Yeah.
Again, you know, they're owned.
Yeah.
And they're not allowed to have a mind of their own. Okay. This is the whole operation. You know, don't let them have a mind of their own. You know. You know, they're only allowed to do art for 1 hour a week. And that's my favourite subject. You know, they should be doing art for a long time. You know, for many hours if you ask me, you know, because that opens your imagination, but they don't want you to be wise. Right, simple. Public schools are not to teach wisdom.
Yeah.
They're basically to teach you just how to be a bit intelligent with things, you know, and that's it, and do what you're told. Basically, that's what it's all about. You know, and I've always felt at school I don't belong to anything. You know, I've got my own imagination. You know, I don't belong here. You know, I want to do my own thing. You know, it's a crime, really. I feel like they've got all the children like this. You know, and it's kind of like looks nice that they're doing a nice thing for children and educating, but they're not. You know, like I said, if philosophy is missing from school, all the children who leave school might be good athletes, might be good this and good that, whatever, but no philosophy is sad. You know, because philosophy will give people wisdom. You see, that's because that's what philosophy is.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, and you know, I want every child to have wisdom, personally. You know, and if I was the headmaster, I'd say, right, philosophy's got to come in now. You know, we need to teach children philosophy because that would reduce crime completely, and it would stop the bullying at school. We'd start understanding each other, do you know what I mean, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
And so on. But no, they don't teach philosophy, and I think there's a reason behind it. You know, I think they.
Well, division has always been the key, and that's the thing. To divide and rule has always been the mission, the main goal. You know, the more you keep people divided and at odds with themselves, the less they focus on the real problems. And that's the reality. You know, keep people distracted, keep them at odds with each other, keep them distracted, with being at odds with each other and with different forms of entertainment. Keep them subdued. You know, keep them barely happy to the point where they're satisfied enough to just continue living their existence without complaining too much. You know, that's the goal. That's how you know, that's how they kind of treat people, how they kind of look at people. You know, yeah. The game is rigged, as they say. When the world is constructed in the way it's been constructed today, by very powerful people, select group of people, who are very powerful people, and these people can make decisions tomorrow that would drastically affect people all over the planet, different people from all walks of life, male, female, children, you know, etc.